Hi, this is John Doe with the DNB Academy, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to make punchy bass stabs with Serum. Alright, moving on to our project, I just used this simple drum break to have some context, some narrow-ish break that I did myself, and I'm gonna talk with you about the theory behind this type of sounds before starting. So we obviously want to have the best of both worlds. And when I say both worlds, I mean the bass and the percussiveness of it. So for that, we need to split our sound in two different instances. One of them being the sub bass, the punchy, clicky sub bass, and then the percussive part of it, which needs to be processed to a point where it feels like everything is being played as a same song, same sound. So for that occasion, we're gonna start off by doing our sub layer, and then we're gonna move on to our percussive layer. All right, so let's start off by choosing analog, basic shapes, sine wave, really standard stuff, random phase all the way down, phase up to 90, and we're gonna use the envelopes to shape our sound. This process is pretty similar to a kick drum, but with slightly differences. All right, we can actually skip the volume part at first. We're just gonna use one envelope for our course. Now we need to tune and need to work around until we have this sort of, you hear it's not really like a huge click like this, but it's still off. Doesn't really sound like a kick. So okay, now let's assign our shape envelope to our volume. This way we can actually, let me just put one octave lower so we can get like all the sub we need for this. So we're getting there. We might need this belly a little bit, like a bit more on the first hit, so it's way punchier. Okay, now I think we have our sub layer. As you can hear, it's pretty much like a 909 sort of thing. So now let's move on to the other layer. Let's group this up by pressing Ctrl G on Ableton Live, so we can have our instrument rack, which can be easily done with any other DAW. So this is the sub layer of it. And now we're going to create another chain, and we're going to use Serum as well, of course. And the process here, it's pretty similar. So we're going to go with basic shapes as well. We're going to choose a sine wave. But this time, our main volume envelope is going to be way shorter, something like this. And to avoid any phasing issues, we're going to use any point of the phase knob here besides the 90 degrees, because that would obviously make it phase. So let's solo this and play. Okay, let's solo this part. Okay, we're getting there. This is pretty much the size that we want, something like this. And we can actually go to our envelope 1, which is our main envelope, and turn the attack all the way down and the random phase all the way down as well. Okay, it sounds good to me. Now let's use our second envelope, also really steep and short, a curve. Then we assign it to our course pitch here. Then we press Alt and Shift left button so we can have it on polar. And we need to go like really up there. You see, we want this. It's extreme click. You hear it? It's up to you. If we don't want this to be that long, so that way it will start to pick up on the lower frequencies of the sine wave, and we don't want that. We're just gonna go to our FX now. And one thing we need to have in mind before moving on, this layer, it's supposed to be like wide, really wide, to have the contrast with more monotonous and more mono kind of sound that we are designing with our sub layers. So have that in mind. So try to apply a couple of effects before starting to process it outside of Serum. So with the chorus, this will immediately like stand out. This layer is like right off the bat sounding way wider. It's just a matter of tweaking where we want the chorus to be at. Something like this. And then we can actually even turn the hyper dimension on. Turn the unison all the way down, but we're gonna use the dimension a little bit smaller. Something like this. And if we're actually looking for extra clickiness to it, we're gonna apply one extra envelope to our course. Alt Shift. And then we can achieve this, like, can you hear it? All right, let's just tweak this a little bit better. A little bit less here. Okay. Let's try to mix both these layers now. Get the feeling already? Now let's just visualize this first. It's really important. See if everything here is mono and clean, but then we're starting to get a bit more of these artifacts, these stereo artifacts, which is exactly what we want. And we got our clickiness here on 4K almost, which is also really important for the sound. And our work inside of Serum is pretty much done. This is actually some sort of mindset that you have to put yourself through to achieve this sound. All right, so let's select this our Perk layer. Okay, now let's give this a bit of processing to make it sound even better, because obviously I'm gonna actually write just a few stabs within this drum loop. Let's say something like this, and let's put it just around this loop so it has more context. So it's supposed to be here, right? Oh, let's just use like a default E, like just like. Let's go with this loop. All right, so we got something. Now let's make this layer a bit more interesting, and that's pretty much like the magic within this whole process. It's just to make this sound good, because it's not hard to make sub layer work properly. It's not hard to design both these patches. It's all about the creativity and the processing afterwards. So let's go and choose the convolution reverb that I use a lot in my music, which is the convolution from Melda Production, and also emphatic from Melda Production, which is a sort of as you can see, you can apply like amp distortion. There's a compressor within it, and then there's also a convolution inbuilt that you can apply it after all these tweaks and all these knobs that will allow you to have like really unique stuff out of your sounds. So let's just mute the convolution and put it second in the chain, and let's just work with emphatic. Right. It's fine. All this, it's fine. We can leave it like this. We can actually boost just a little bit of the amp here. You can leave the compressor with these default settings. It's fine. What we want is this convolution rooms here. And let's go with the sound design one, because these will emulate like really cool sounds that Melda has put into this plugin here. And we can actually fool around with a widening. This way we can create even more wideness and width on our tune. So it's all about like browsing something that interests you. Like this could be interesting for some and not for others, but so it's really up to your taste. But these sounds here are really cool. Like this one here. It almost sounds like a bass slap, you know. We're gonna go with this one. And now we're gonna turn on convolution, MB. I'm gonna go to B side of it, and we could just gonna choose something that gives us a little bit of room. I don't mean stereo, I mean room. So it's just like a really tiny reverb. So let's go with like these rhythmic options here, like you see. Now let's just draw the volume envelope here so we don't have that much decay on our sound. Right, we're getting there. Right, now we're gonna apply some OTT compression, and I'm gonna use Xverse OTT. Note that we are only working within this layer for now. Now, what we want from the sound is a bit more mids, like we don't want the lows, so we're just gonna put them out of the mix. Can actually bring some of these clicks. Don't mind the peaking here. We're gonna clip it afterwards. It's not gonna be there. So let's just tweak the compression a little bit more. Now we can actually go back to emphatic and look for something that just that way I can actually show you what the plugin has to offer. Can EQ it. These are really cool, and this is just the sound design folder. There are plenty more you can choose from. But now that we set our minds onto that one, we're just gonna go with this that we were using first. Just was this megaphone one. Really interesting. Alright, now we're gonna go back to our Serum layer here. And maybe increase this a little bit. Maybe not. Alright, cool. So this is pretty much patch and processing process that you should do to achieve these types of sound. But then at the end of the chain, you need to do some work also. And for that, I'm gonna use like a typical camel fat, which is one of my favorite plugins. And we're just gonna clear preset. And this way we are doing some soft clipping. As you can see, we are not clipping anymore on our track there. And we can actually apply a bit of tube distortion to the overall sound if you want to go crazy with it, like some exciter. And there's no sidechain whatsoever, so it's normal that the drum's gonna sound not that good here, but still. And then, just to wrap things up, we're gonna place a ProQ before Camel Fat, so that way we can control some of these, especially the mids here, that are a bit annoying, and distortion is just gonna eventually boost them up. So if we fit the distortion more clean sound, or cleaner sound, it's better. And you can like easily go to your perk bass now, to your perk layer of your Serum. You can add noise, just like a tiny bit of like white noise, for instance. Like if you want to create this extra effect, if you don't, just use this. I can even put this perk layer a bit higher, louder. So yeah, this is how you make percussive bass stabs. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you on the next one. Peace.